I think we are live. So today's Hangout topic is eating a varied diet, seasonal eating, local food, simplicity, and variation. So talking a little bit about variation in the diet, basically. We're going to record the live session, of course, and if you're watching it from YouTube, which we'll post the video on YouTube later after the live Hangout. If you're watching on YouTube now, know that if you want to join the next live Hangout, you can go to our Patreon profile and we'll put a link to it down in the description, and you can join there, and that way you'll have access to these live Hangouts every month. So that's good.
Every month there's a new topic, and it's a lot of fun. It's a nice way for us to get a little bit more personal with our patrons, and it just feels good.
Yeah, we're still learning how to do these things. There's so much technical stuff going on when you're trying to do live things. It's not the same as a video, and I get way more nervous for some reason when I'm doing a live stream than when I'm doing a video. All right. Well, we'll wait a little bit and see if someone comes on to our live stream, because of course these live streams are for patrons only, so it's like an exclusive thing, which just, you know, you have to essentially be part of the Patreon gang to get access, and that means it's not going to be a whole lot of people on here. That would be cool too. We could do that sometime as well, make like just like a public hangout on YouTube, but we like to do these things a little bit more exclusive, and just to have like a discussion. And of course we have a chat here, and if you're watching right now, maybe you want to say hello in the chat so we know you're there. So anything you want to say during the chat, during the live session, you can always just say it in the chat, of course, and we'll respond to it as we see it.
Yeah, it's all good though. We're having a good day here in Norway. It's sunny outside. Tomorrow there's going to be terrible weather, rain and lightning. So we're enjoying this fabulous day.
Yeah, very nice summer day.
It's 6:30 in the evening for us.
Yeah, and it's, of course, in the summer in Norway, it's very light, very long, so it's the sun is up even when we go to bed at like 10. It's still sunny outside, which is very unhealthy actually. But that's how it is in Norway. At least it's bearable, as opposed to the winter, which is definitely not bearable. Yeah. Mirel, hey. Hey, Mirel.
Good day.
Glad to have you back on this Hangout. Seems there's not many other people here right now.
That doesn't matter. They can come when they want, and yeah, everyone can watch it on YouTube as well when it comes out.
Yeah. So maybe we'll just get into the topic for the day, which is talking about variation in the diet and eating a balanced diet. So first of all, let's talk about how everyone talks about eating a balanced diet, right? Eating a varied diet. Oh, the diet has to be so varied, so balanced, but no one knows what they're talking about, right?
It's just one of these things people kind of tend to say without actually having much force behind it. It's just everyone says it.
Yeah, just like if you're talking about nutrition, within 10 seconds, the word protein is going to be mentioned. Mm-hmm. The word essential fats or good fats, omega-3 might be mentioned. There are these things people are, enjoy talking about. And one of those things is a balanced diet. Oh, you have to eat a balanced diet. And if we say that we're fruitarians, of course, then immediately people go like,
very unbalanced.
That's unbalanced. And what they mean by that, of course, is a balanced diet, as in including as many different food groups as possible, because we've learned that food groups we have to have a, we can't just focus on one food group because that's too monotonous. But the thing is, when people talk about things like dairy products, for example, as a food group, you got to realize that
It's not really.
we aren't cows. We shouldn't be drinking milk.
You know,
We shouldn't be sucking the tits of a cow. It's just strange. It's not really food. Of course, yeah, it's nutrients in there, and we can get nutrients from milk, but it isn't really human food. And so that's really we can exclude that as a food group. We don't have to consider dairy. We don't have to consider meat. We don't have to consider, there are all these different food groups that we don't really have to consider. And if you look at it, and I'm sure if you're watching this channel, and I'm sure you know it, Mirel, that humans are frugivores, obviously. We don't have to talk about that now, why that is, but it's quite obvious that the only thing that humans can eat in its raw natural state is fruit. Probably a few other things here and there, but the question is how delicious is it to you? How much are your senses tuned into that food? And when it comes to fruit, that's the most satisfying thing. So with that out of the way, humans being frugivores, let's get into what does it really mean to eat a varied diet? What does it mean to eat a balanced diet? Because it is true that it's important, but in what way? That's the question. And I'd say that the key here is nutrients. It's all about nutrition. That's what it's all about. If you're not getting all the nutrients you need, then obviously that's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one way to get that nutrition, if you are lacking, would be to vary your diet. Eat one thing that is higher in, well, all things are different. Some are higher in one mineral versus another. Obviously, eating varied will ensure that you're getting most of what you need of everything.
So the point is, you need the nutrients. The nutrients is what it's all about. It's not about, really, at the core of it, it's not about eating a varied diet in terms of food items. It's about eating a varied diet in terms of nutrition. And if we're looking at fruit nutrition, we can see that it's actually quite complete.
Yeah, for sure. And I was just thinking that, it doesn't have to be as different as banana from a peach. It can even be just one banana from another banana. I know how some papayas taste like really like iron, really.
Yeah.
And others don't taste like that at all. So obviously there's going to be huge differences of nutritional
So
value.
what you're saying is some papayas have more iron than others.
Yes.
Essentially. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's how it is. So the point is to get enough nutrients, and of course, what is optimal human nutritional needs that we don't really know. Nutritional science is not really, it's come to a certain point, but it still has a long way to go, and it's very difficult to establish exactly what human beings need because there's so many factors involved in health. So, someone might need more of a special nutrient than others because of something else going on in their lives. And if you're not getting enough sleep, a better example, if you're not getting enough sunlight, then you won't be getting enough vitamin D. And if you're not getting enough vitamin D, then you can't uptake calcium as well from the diet. So you might be lacking in calcium because you're not getting enough vitamin D. So there's so many interactions that it's very difficult to just establish a norm when it comes to human nutritional needs and exactly what humans need for optimal health. So we have two things we can go by. We can either go by what we already know, the current nutritional science, and we can also, the other thing would be to just go by natural thought and just look at what animals in nature are doing. Imagine what we would be doing if we were in the wild. And if we are to do that, then it's more obvious that we would just eat fruit. Human beings. That's what we would eat if we were in the wild. We couldn't cook, we couldn't process, we just had to eat what it is as it is in its raw natural state. Fruit is what we would be eating. And interestingly enough, if you look at the nutrition of a fruit, it's actually pretty much spot on, more or less. human nutritional needs. What theorized human nutritional needs anyway.
And there's really not many other things on Earth that covers our nutritional need as well as fruit does. The closest thing would be, potatoes, sweet potatoes, pumpkins, even better.
Yeah.
The closer you get to fruit in how it looks, how it tastes, etc., the better it's going to be in terms of nutrition.
Yeah.
When it comes to fruits that are, fruits happen to come in seasons, which is not only. Fruit seasons are cool because it pretty much makes us so we get all the nutrition we need throughout the year. Even though we might just be eating one food at a time.
Yeah. In nature, everything is seasonal, but that's how it is. That's how the norm is in nature. Seasonal eating. Every animal does that. They eat seasonally as it changes, and this ensures you that you will be eating different foods at different times. But if we look at what most people are eating these days, the people that are talking about a varied diet, the question is, are they actually eating a varied diet though? Like your average Western person or anyone in the world, your average global citizen, what are they eating? They are pretty much eating the same things year round.
Yeah.
Like there's only
for their entire life.
For their entire life, there's just people are just eating the same thing over and over and over again. So these people that are talking about eating a varied diet and that we are eating a monotonous diet are in fact eating quite a monotonous diet themselves. When it comes to nutrients though, it's interesting because a normal person is usually consuming a lot of refined foods like refined sugar and refined oil. Those two especially. Not so much protein powder, that's more of a few people that are into bodybuilding do that, but oil and sugar makes up a big part of a lot of people's diet. And these are the least nutritious of all foods, right? Sugar is just sugar, just carbohydrates.
Literally nothing else.
Literally nothing else. Oil, almost the same. It's just fat. There are some vitamin E in there and depends on the oil, but essentially it's a very deficient product. So if these two foods make up some part of your diet, which they do for most people, that means you have to somehow make up for the lack, right? Because you just ate a bunch of calories, but you didn't get much nutrients from it. So you have to go around looking for the highest source of zinc, the highest source of iron, the highest source of calcium. This is why this is so popular. Everyone talks about, oh, this food is amazing for calcium. And it's because their diet is so deficient that they now have to go searching for single foods that are high in single nutrients to sort of try to make up for the fact that they just ate something really deficient. As soon as you eliminate that and you focus on a whole food diet of plants, essentially a fruitarian diet, just whole fruit as it is, every calorie you're taking in comes with lots of associated nutrients, and thus you don't have to worry about nutrition in the sense that most people have to.
Because you're basically eating only the foods that are packed with nutrients as compared to standard diet. Imagine if, like, I don't know how much, but let's say a fourth, 25% of your diet, of your calories comes from a refined product. You're basically cutting your nutrition by a fourth. Like, I was going to say something more.
Yeah, nutrients per calorie, that's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. How many nutrients are you getting per calorie? And most people are eating so much refined foods that they're getting very little actual micronutrients like calcium, iron, magnesium, vitamin C.
Making them have to take supplements, like a vitamin C supplement.
Can you imagine anything more ridiculous than taking a vitamin C supplement? That's just like, what? it's so easy to get vitamin C in all the fresh fruits and vegetables, and along with that vitamin C, you're getting all the other nutrients as well. So,
So Morel is saying a good example could be cravings. If you're lacking a nutrient, your body will tell you craving. Well, will be craving something else. But with fruit, it's hard to crave, at least in my experience. That's totally right. Being deficient in one thing makes us really crave something. I guess a good example would be pregnant women get strange cravings for many different things. And it might not just be a caloric deficiency, uh, but it might be something like, oh, for some reason the baby really needs iron at this point.
Yeah.
And
we have to trust the body, right? We can
Sure.
ultimately we can look at nutritional science and use it as a guide, but we can't really eat according to what some kind of scientific research tells us that we should eat according to. So our body, we have to trust our body, and if we're getting a craving for a natural food in its natural state, then it's possible that that's trying to drive us to eat that food. And of course, we all have cravings for fruit. We all are sweet seekers by nature, but I don't know of any people, and certainly not myself, who have any cravings for like cow. Like just, oh, I just have to eat a cow. Like I just have to go out and find myself a cow and just bite into it. I have to do it. No one has that craving. And no one has a craving for like, oh, I just want to suck the cow's tits.
No.
But we have a natural craving for something sweet. And this is evident in all the candy shops around the world and all the bakeries and everything sweet everywhere. Because we have a natural craving for sweet. And of course, when we eat that refined sugar, we're getting the sweet covered, but we're not getting any of the other nutrients, which may cause us to just continue craving something more. Maybe we can't even define what it is.
Yeah.
Essentially, you're on thin ice with everything except fruit, in my opinion. Like any kind of diet you eat, if it's not a whole fruit-based diet, you are playing with the devil. Like it's nutritionally speaking, it's risky, and that's why most people are on supplements and taking all these superfoods and this for that and this for more vitamin C and this for my vitamin E and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about now, can you live on one fruit only? And this was a question that we wrote about today, actually, in our newsletter that came out today.
You might have received it.
Yeah, we send out a newsletter every month. So if you want to get that newsletter, you can go to our website, sign up for our newsletter. You get a free e-booklet about how to get started on a raw food diet. And of course, you get our newsletter. Anyway, so in that newsletter, I was talking about how is it possible to live on one fruit alone? Because we do hear a lot of people talking about mono diets and cleanses, just eating one thing at a time for an extended period. And I don't think it's really a problem to do that if you think about it nutritionally. Let's just imagine that you were going to eat one fruit for the rest of your life. Would that be okay? That would be a very unbalanced diet, right? Well, not really. Nutritionally speaking, it all depends on the fruit, but let's say we're eating mangoes. Mangoes are pretty much perfect. They have all the nutrients we need for our health in perfect ratios. Theoretically speaking, nothing is missing from an all mango diet. Nothing. If you're changing your diet to papayas instead, it doesn't change that much.
No.
Change your diet to bananas, doesn't change that much. It's minor variations from fruit to fruit, but theoretically speaking, one fruit is sufficient. But here's the problems. In today's world, we don't really know if the fruit we're eating has been grown in perfect conditions, how the soil is, anything like that. So it's a good idea to kind of spread our bets, basically. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
in as most people probably know, for many years there's been an issue with an iodine deficiency in the soil in the US. This is why they started putting iodine in the salt. And this is something that can happen around different areas with different soils, different countries, that the soil has different nutritional deficiencies here and there. So if you're eating from only one place from an extended period, it's possible that you might be getting a little bit one-sided nutrition, which means that essentially it's a good idea to spread your bets out and not only eat different fruits, but eat fruits from different regions and different countries. So this means that local food, we all talk about local food being great, and that's true, because local food is fresh, and fresh means, you know, it can ripen properly on the tree, etc. But a problem with local food is what I just said. So essentially, spreading our bets by eating global food, imported food, might actually be a good idea for your nutrition. Spreading, you know, your bets, not putting all eggs in one basket, as they say. You know,
I think a lot of people look down on you know, export and import. Or you're eating bananas from Costa Rica and you're in Norway, and it's such a bad thing. But really, when you look at it, it's not really a bad thing. It might not be the best for the environment. I mean, obviously, local would be the best for the environment, and ideally, I would want to eat 100% local as well, as long as I knew 100% sure that I would be getting all I needed. But I don't necessarily think that is the case, not necessarily anywhere. So I say eat local. Maybe even most of your diet should be local.
Well, it depends on where you're living, because if you're living in Norway, you can't eat local at all. Yeah. You can't eat nothing local.
I keep thinking tropical.
Yeah, because that's the problem. You got to consider there's more than just in the whole environment. There's also the personal environment of the body, which thrives on a fruit-based diet. We are frugivores, tropical frugivores, so we have to be in the tropics if we're going to eat local. But even then, it's a good idea to eat not just from your country, but actually from other countries as well, to get nutrients from different soils and different conditions and different growing conditions. And this is true with different fruits as well. So spreading, you know, eating different foods over the course of a year is a good idea, because you are just ensuring good nutrition. And frankly, no one really wants to live on one fruit the rest of their lives anyway. So it's just a hypothetical question. Could I live on one fruit? And the answer is probably yes, you could.
I mean, there are a lot of species on Earth that do only eat one food. I know, like, the one thing that comes to mind is that is it koala that's eating only
eucalyptus leaves mostly? Maybe, I don't know, but I know that it is true that most animals do eat a very simple diet. You know, horses, cows, they pretty much eat grass, grass, but they get, you know, a few different herbs, and theoretically they're more prone probably to certain deficiencies if it's a deficiency in the soil where the grass is growing. So we humans, because we can either roam large areas, I guess the cow could do that too if it was free. It would roam larger areas and cover different soil types. But the fact that we can import food is in nutritionally speaking, a good thing, I would say. We get food from different areas. So yeah, most animals are eating a simple diet, but they get variation over the course of the year. And especially frugivores, we can see that their diet changes depending on what time of year and what's in season. So let's talk a little bit about seasonal eating. What does it mean, first of all? Well, it means that you have different foods predominating in your diet depending on the year. So, for example, Mirel, right now you're in Mexico, and I'm sure there's something that's in season now that's not normally in season. Maybe you can let us know. Maybe it's mango season, or I don't know. Let us know what's in season right now in Mexico. Here in Norway,
there's not much.
Well,
depends on what you mean. In Norway, literally Norway, there is no fruit in season except very, very tiny strawberries that are actually popping up here and there.
And strawberries, big strawberries too, which are in season right now, just getting into season. So they're in season if we're talking super local, like right around the corner. There's local strawberries in season now. But we could extend the range to Europe.
Beginning of the year, well, not beginning of summer, melons should be coming on. We're actually buying some melons now that are.
Where are they from?
They are. Oh, let's see. I have no idea. But the point is, they're quite good. They are
Santa Claus melons, they call in English, or piel de sapo.
Pretty sweet, pretty consistent actually. Better than most melons I've found.
But I'm not sure if they're from Europe though.
They might be. They might be from southern Spain.
I think it's a little bit early. I'm not sure, but that's the point. Different things at different times. So right now it's nectarines and peaches mainly coming into season. Apricots from southern Europe, Italy, Spain. They're coming up here to us. So that's what predominates our diet around this time of year. Although as of yet we haven't had many good peaches, really.
No, they are getting better, especially with flat nectarines, which are totally awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mirel is saying mame is in season.
Wow.
So good, not juicy, but so good.
It is so good.
It's
mame is amazing.
It is my second most favorite fruit of all time.
Yeah.
Like durian in taste, in terms of taste experience. Durian, mame.
Yeah. Yeah, I like mame too. It's not on my top list, but I do like it a lot. So that's in season. That's cool. Hey, Danny. She says, sorry I'm late. That's cool. No problem. Yeah, so we're talking about seasonal eating right now and eating a varied diet over the course of the year. And what you missed out on, Danny, was just that we were talking earlier about how most people, they're stressing out about, the fruit diet isn't varied enough. You have to eat a varied diet. But then, of course, what does it really mean to eat a varied diet? Well, it just means getting all the nutrients you need. And most people's diet is so deficient because they're eating oil and sugar and that sort of thing, that in their mind, you have to work hard to get enough nutrients. You have to find the sources that are highest in this and highest in that and compose a perfect diet. But they haven't tried the fruit-based diet. They haven't tried the whole food plant-based diet.
You're pretty much covered.
You're covered.
Almost no matter what you do, as long as you're eating mainly fruits.
Yeah. You're just good.
Yeah. Even if it's just bananas. Like right now, we're eating a lot of bananas because, frankly, the melons and nectarines aren't really there yet. Still, it's looking very, very good.
Yeah, nutritionally speaking, it's so easy to get enough nutrients with the fruit-based diet. Anyone skeptical, they just haven't looked at the numbers. They haven't actually looked at 2,500 calories of mango. If they did, they would be shocked and be like, whoa, okay, mangoes cover you pretty well.
Because that's the problem that people do when they judge that fruit isn't sufficient in terms of calories or nutrients. They're looking at portion sizes. They're like, if they are so smart as to go to a place like Chronometer, they're probably inputting like, okay, 3 pieces of nectarines for breakfast.
Yeah, they look at volume versus calories, and that's a big fallacy. You have to look at calories, nutrients per calorie. That's how you can judge a diet.
Because your stomach will adjust to the amount of food you need, and it's not going to be a problem getting enough of it.
No. So back to what we were talking about, which was seasonal eating and changing the diet as the season goes by. So right now there's peaches, melons coming into season. There's some mangoes from Pakistan that are imported here. They're pretty expensive, but very good. And then as the year progresses, different fruits come into season. So for example, for those that spend the winter in Europe or even America, there's persimmons coming into season around what time?
At least November, maybe even earlier. For some strange reason, there's even some now, but I don't know.
And lasting until like
maybe February.
Yeah, something like that. What are you, Danny? What are you eating these days, or is there any particular fruit that's in season where you're at? Anything exciting that you're eating? So over the course of the year, someone who's eating a natural fruit diet will have a different diet. The diet will be looking different each of the months. And nutritionally, this is what is interesting. Nutritionally, it will look almost the same, regardless of what you're eating, but there will be slight variations. And maybe this month you're getting you fill up your stores on vitamin K a little bit more than the next month, and then you run off those stores because your body can store nutrients. So sometimes of the year you might be getting a little bit not enough of certain nutrients, possibly a little bit low, but you're good because you're covered from the previous months where you were getting a little bit more than you needed, and your body can recycle and it sort of takes care of it. So it's really foolproof. Can you hear the clock? It's striking 7. Anyway,
No, it's not.
But
it's like
yeah.
4.
But anyway, it's really foolproof diet. Every animal in nature just eats what's available, but it naturally changes in a year.
Mm-hmm.
Danny says lots of apples since I came back from Spain. Okay, cool.
Apples can be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
As we know here in Norway. When it's autumn here in Norway, apples go crazy, and there's apples everywhere.
Some of the best apples the only best apples I've ever had have been in Norway.
I suppose. We did have some good ones on Canada Island. So.
Yeah, pretty good. But autumn mostly, that's when I find the good apples here. But if we are to just move away from the nutritional aspects of it a little bit, mm-hmm. and talk about
how awesome it is.
Yeah, something that's way more important, right?
Yeah, because imagine not eating seasonally, or rather, imagine eating a standard diet. You might even be doing that yourself, and you might have pizza, pasta,
bread,
something else for the whole year, like 3, 4, 5. Isn't it like most people go through 5 different dishes almost the entire year? For us, it's like, in 2 months there will be, especially if you're in the tropics, it's like there's a new awesome fruit in season every month. You can look ahead and enjoy something awesome all the time.
So in other words, a reason to eat seasonally and a reason to eat a varied diet is simply it's exciting, mm-hmm. and it's satisfying. Who wants to eat one fruit, as I said? It's the thing is though, I don't need any variety in a single meal. When it comes to the single meal, I prefer it to be simple. Mm-hmm. I mostly prefer eating mono meals. I just find them way more satisfying. On many levels.
Yeah, you relax more in your mind. Kind of, it's easier to just settle in and taste the small variances in the food, rather than having this kind of. I feel myself being pulled to all the different things, and
if you're eating different foods in one meal.
Yeah, at the end of the meal, I'm like, I haven't really eaten a substantial amount of one thing. It's just been a scattered experience.
Yeah. So the mono meal is just more satisfying.
For sure.
But I like my mono meal. I wouldn't like my mono meal to be the same year round. I would like my mono meal to be good today. Like, okay, I'm good with one fruit today, but tomorrow I might want a different fruit. At least, next month I want to change it up a bit.
Yeah.
But it takes some time for me to grow tired of a fruit. Like if I'm eating good mangoes, I can do that for a few months. Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting that it does happen.
Yeah.
Like you do after say 3 months
of eating mangoes
every day at one meal at least, you do get to a point where like you don't really get like, ugh, I can't take more mangoes, but it's more like, okay, I'm ready to move on. I feel myself getting excited for something else, and I'm sure you all experience the same thing. Like, I think it's just the way your body is telling you you're good on certain nutrients, but you're starting to want something else, and you know that.
It happened in Costa Rica, for example. I was eating mangoes every day for 3 months, the Costa Rican mangoes, and I was getting to a point where I wanted something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a natural progression. Then it says New York is easy to find a lot of fruit, but I'm still dealing with sugar ups and downs due to the fact that I have trouble being consistent. Also, I'm about 98 pounds and a runner, so it's hard for me to balance fat and carbs. Yeah, when it comes to sugar ups and downs, that definitely has mostly to do with fat and carbohydrate, the mix, the ratio. Because if you're eating too much fat, your ability to process blood sugar declines, which essentially is what diabetes is. If you're eating way too much fat over time, your ability to process blood sugar becomes really bad, and you essentially become diabetic.
But it might also be, if you're having a meal of, say, peaches for breakfast that are not sweet, you might eat a full meal of it, and an hour later, especially if you're going running and stuff, you might be having what you consider to be a low, sugar low, but it might just be the fact that you haven't really eaten enough sugar.
Yeah.
But as you say, it needs to be consistent.
You know what I would recommend? First of all, I would say that just to for the record, keeping your fat intake to around 10% of total calories, maybe as much as 15 even is possible, or as low as 5%, is a good idea to do. You probably are doing that, but that's how you maintain good blood sugar. But my best tip would be for you to try eating nothing but bananas for a few days. Actually, which is interesting because right now we're talking about variety, and this is a good idea. This is a good point. There's nothing wrong with eating one fruit for a single meal. There's nothing wrong with eating one single fruit for a whole day even. In fact, if you want to eat nothing but one type of fruit for a couple of weeks,
or even months,
but let's just say a couple of weeks, no problem, zero problem, not a single problem. You can go ahead and do that. But in your situation, it would be a good idea to try it, because if you eliminate all overt fats and you eat just bananas, then first of all, you got the fat out of the equation, but you also got the inconsistent fruit out of the equation. Because just like you said, you eat some nectarines, they weren't really that sweet. You think you ate 700 calories, but they were only 300 calories because they weren't sweet, etc. There's always a gamble when it comes to most fruits, but with bananas, it's never a gamble. As long as the bananas are there, they will give you about, I don't know what it is, 90 calories or something, give or take a little bit, per 100 grams. So by eating bananas, you ensure that you're getting enough calories. As long as you're eating enough bananas, but you ensure that the meal you're eating is sufficient.
That basically means you're going to feel really good.
Yeah, we've had this experience many times.
Yeah.
The banana effect.
It's just something, for a long time I was really opposed to having bananas for breakfast because I don't know why, but it just didn't feel right to me. Now though, I've experienced so many times that bananas are consistent in terms of the energy I feel afterwards that I've come to like having bananas even for breakfast.
Yeah, it's just when you're having bananas, you don't have to worry about, is this enough? Is this gonna, give me the energy I need? Is it giving me the fuel I need? No, if you're having bananas, you're good. You don't have to think about food. You had your food and you can keep going, and it will give you consistent energy. So it's worth giving a try. Another thing, I only eat one meal a day at dinner. One meal a day. And just water through the day. I don't like to eat much of the day. I love bananas. Well, I have to say that sounds pretty strange, to just drink water through the day. Well, everyone's different. Some people do get used to eating one meal a day.
It is possible.
It is possible.
If you do, for sure. I mean, I was I was eating one meal a day for 6 weeks when I was eating only durian.
Yeah.
Durinarian experience. But
well, you have to do what you know best, what you do in your life and your body. So I'm not telling you what to do. You know what to do. But if I was you, I would experiment with eating breakfast and lunch and dinner, or at least 2 meals a day. Is there a particular reason why you don't eat more than dinner? I find that harder on fruit. Well, I don't know why that would be. I don't know. You have to, let me know why. Why is it hard? In what way is it hard to eat during the day? And while you write that, I will talk a little bit about out of season fruit, because we should eat fruit that's in season, because when it's in season, it's fresh, it's ripe, it's sweet, it's delicious, it's nutritious. But when it's out of season, it just tastes like shit. But what does it really mean to be out of season? Well, there's 2 things. First of all, it has to do with how they grow fruit. So essentially, you can push the limits of the growing conditions for certain fruits. So even though, in a certain climate, mangoes might be peaking in, I don't know, let's just say April, and there's mangoes in March and there's mangoes in May. But then they learn ways to manipulate the tree and use hormones to sort of start the fruiting process earlier than it should, or later. And there's many ways of doing it, but essentially by manipulating it, you can stretch the season. The problem is that on the fringes of the seasons, the conditions are no longer optimal for that fruit. So it might produce a fruit, but that fruit might not be as sweet as it could be or as nutritious as it could be. So if you're eating fruit that's sort of on the fringes of the season, it might not be as nutritious, and it certainly will not be as delicious. Yeah. So learning a little bit about fruit seasons, when certain fruits are in season, when they're in peak season, and focusing on those that are in peak season, that's a good idea. They also will be cheaper. Mm-hmm. Fruit is always cheaper in peak season because it's just a matter of supply and demand. When the supply is greater than the demand, the price goes down.
Yeah, and you definitely need to learn the fruit season of your area, because you can't really search online and try to look for fruit seasons, what fruit is in season this month, because it might be totally different than another place. As I said, there's persimmons. At one store, there's some delicious persimmons close to us now. But that's like, what? This isn't persimmon season usually. So you have to learn how it is. Because of
export and import, it's just all over the place. So it's coming from the whole world, and it's a difficult science to learn all about. Focus on your local area and that sort of thing. That being said, there's another way which you can get out of season fruit, and this is important to know, and that's, let's say, apples, for example. They can be stored. Mm-hmm. Apples are picked in peak season, and then they're stored in cold storage, and then they sell apples throughout the year. But these apples are like 6 months old. They've lost all the sweetness. They're just tasteless, and I bet pretty nutritionless too. Yeah. So this will not satisfy you. If you're eating a fruitless diet, if you just want to eat healthy diet, you got to focus on what is in season now, what is in actual peak season right now. And of course, as a baseline, you can keep bananas as a sort of fun foundation of your diet. Mm-hmm. I personally keep bananas are probably 50% of my caloric intake year round. They're my staple. And then I eat seasonal fruits on top of that, because bananas aren't seasonal. Remember, bananas are pretty much produced year round. So seasonal fruits make up 50% of my diet, and that changes all the time, every month of the year almost. But bananas stay the same in the bottom. Okay, Danny says that she finds it harder to eat fruit because she's busy. And I understand that. If you're busy, it
takes more time. It's more bites usually.
You have to eat more bites of fruit, yeah. But I mean,
as a rule, if it's dried fruit, it's going to be the same or even less bites than, let's say, bread.
But again, if you're eating something like you said earlier, like nectarines that aren't that sweet or something, you have to eat a lot, and it takes a lot of time. But it still doesn't give you the calories you need, and you're hungry 2 hours later. So if I was you, I would focus on more calorie-dense fruits like bananas, dates, persimmons, mangoes if they're good, and then
basically really sweet things.
yeah. And of course, you have to realize if you want good health, you have to prioritize it over your busy schedule in a sense. I'm sure if you want to, you could make room for breakfast and room for lunch. And I think that would help your energy levels if you had trouble with consistent energy and blood sugar. That's possibly due to the fact that you're not eating all day. It's possible. Morel says bananas and dates, and that's so true. It's bananas and dates. They are the most reliable source of calories for anyone outside the tropics, where you have access to lots of sweet fruits, as a general rule. All right, so let's wrap it up. Let's let me look through my notes here quickly while you ramble on about something.
I like nectarines. They're good. Let me show you some. They're actually, even though these aren't actually the best ones I've ever had, they are certainly looking pretty awesome. You know, the more kind of stuff like this you see, the more, well,
Sweet they are.
Yeah, the more mature and amazing.
The room smells so good. Nectarines are so good. So this is literally something that I look forward to in Norway. We travel around the world, as you know, in the tropics, and we're eating durian and all these things. But I wouldn't want to be without my, June, July, August in Norway eating nectarines, because they're just so amazing. So I look forward to that. And then by the time that's over, I start looking forward to the next fruit that comes into season. And when that's over, I start looking forward to the next one. So variety essentially creates excitement. That's the main thing, like for me anyway. It just creates excitement. It makes the fruit diet so doable, because it's always something new coming into season.
Yeah.
And it's always so satisfying to have a new taste, to have a new texture, and so many different textures to choose from.
In fact, it's taste-wise, it's 10 times better than how it was before. Yes, I was eating Doritos and 10 different types of potato chips and this and that and this and that. But it's very difficult to describe this. But the point is, fruit has so much depth that even one nectarine from another can be insane difference. And
there's a subtle excitement, rather than being like like eating Doritos is very exciting in the mouth, but it's not very satisfying
physically.
Whereas when you bite into nectarine, it's just deeply exciting, deeply satisfying,
gratifying,
very gratifying. All right, so basically, variation in diet, theoretically, not really an issue when you're eating fruit. You could theoretically eat one fruit the rest of your life, because most fruits are complete nutritionally for human nutritional needs. But you never know how's the conditions, where the fruit is growing, so it's a good idea to just spread your bets and eat fruits from a wide variety of fruits from a wide variety of areas and different soils, to just ensure that you're getting all the nutrients, in case there's nutrients deficiency in this soil versus that soil. And there's also a good idea to just spread to eat a varied diet, simply because it's more satisfying, more exciting, something to look forward to. And I think it's a not natural thing for the body. It's just we've evolved in the rainforest over millions of years, with different fruits coming into season at different times. But even then, if you look at chimpanzees and bonobos and these things, they pretty much eat I think something like 70% of their diet is figs.
Yeah,
or
well,
something.
I guess it depends on the chimps, but yes, certainly.
Yeah, so they pretty much eat a diet that is almost the same year round. So I guess the bottom line here is just variety. You don't have to worry about it. Fruit is inherently varied in its nutritional qualities. It is spread out. It is balanced.
And don't worry, when your body needs something else than only bananas, you're going to eat something else than bananas.
It's just naturally going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And how can anyone be stuck with eating only bananas? It's not possible. There's too much good stuff. Fruit is just popping out of the trees everywhere, even in Norway, Arctic almost. And there's berries in the summer popping out.
And if there's nothing special, go traveling.
Yeah, go traveling.
The best way to discover the insane variety of a fruit-based diet.
Yeah. All right. Let's see now. Yeah, Morel, I agree. Fruit is definitely not boring. And Danny, coaching. Yeah, if you want to do coaching, we can do that. You can go to our website and just sign up there. We can do a coaching session, or we can do 3 coaching sessions, or we can do text chat, or whatever you prefer. All the options are on the website. But that would be a good idea. Then we can talk a little bit more in depth about your challenges with eating fruit while you're a busy flight attendant. And yeah, Morel, that's true. Fruits do have way more variety than animal products. It's not a boring diet, but I think the reason why people think fruit is a boring diet is because the fruit that they've tried is so crap.
It's terrible.
Most people have never tried good fruit.
You learn this when you go to stuff like family dinners, where they might be having a fruit platter, and all the fruit is like very unripe and not high quality. Like, even we're struggling with finding tasty fruit. So, what was my point?
Yeah, that's what most people have to, that's what is in most people's head. When they hear you're eating fruit, they're thinking about the fruit that they're buying and the fruit that they're eating, and that fruit has to be very bad.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly enough, when we go to Thailand and we tell people, when we tell Thai people that we're eating only fruit, they're a little bit shocked. They're like, what? No rice? Because that's what they think, well, no rice? How can you eat a diet without rice? But they understand.
Yeah.
They always go like, oh yeah, very healthy, and they understand how it's possible because they know a good mango. They know how tasty fruit is. So in their mind, it's doable.
Mm-hmm. Whereas in Norway, the first thing people say to you is like, do you ever get full?
Yeah, do you ever get satisfied, or how can you do that? And they imagine just eating apples. But not even good apples. They imagine eating 6 months old apples that are just uber crap.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so don't worry. If you're eating a lot of fruit, even if you're eating just a vegan diet but based around whole plants as opposed to refined sugar, refined oil, processed foods, as long as you're eating a whole food, plant-based diet, as they say, and specifically a fruit-based diet,
you'll be so good.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll be so good. Your skin will actually start glowing.
Yeah, just like him.
That's like, this is what a fruit-based diet do to you.
Yeah, your skin starts glowing, literally. Look at your skin, it's glowing. So yeah, just just go for it, whatever it is. And thanks for joining us, Mirel and Danny. I think we're the only 4 people today.
There might be more though, because I've the last time as well. It goes up and down, the viewers. It's been strange. So,
but that's cool. That's how it is. This isn't a public hangout. It's a patron only hangout. So we enjoy it as a tight family kind of thing. All right.
Once again, if you're interested in joining the next live session, go join us on patreon.com/sweetnaturalliving.
Yeah.
There's a link in the description.
Because we're going to record this, obviously, and it's going to be on YouTube. So he was talking to everyone who's going to watch the video, not you to Mirel and Danny.
I think they got it.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
So let's. I look forward to seeing you guys next month. We're going to do another hangout, obviously, and then until then, we'll hear from you in the comments and on YouTube and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Varied diet, fruit.
Check. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next month.
Yep. Bye.
Ciao.